Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, it's raining cats and dogs instead of raining men. I guess it all depends on your preference. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Terrier Thursday, I suppose. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Thursday evening. It's actually quite nice out right now. Quite nice. A nice early, late spring, early summer, not summer day, whatever. It's nice out. That's all it is. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. I got a weird one for you today. Maybe. I don't know. There's so many implications with the title. We'll get to that momentarily. But first, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? Molly, yikes, Okami. Go Dog Cat Fox. Oh, Dog Cat Fox.
Wowee, wow.
Yes, it's going to be a Dog Cat Fox celebration day today, for reasons I'll explain momentarily, if you didn't already notice from the thumbnail. The Alexandier, good evening. Walter Tomaszewski, good evening. I don't know about dogs, but my cats, George and Philip, can't sign anything. I, as their daddy, have to sign everything for them. Well, that's what a good parent does. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Keeverdam, good evening, and thank you, Keeverdam, for providing the link to the Give, Send, Go. Guys, at the top of the chat box, there's a link there to the Give, Send, Go for Chad and his family, friend of lamented guide. Chad and his family are being sort of kicked out of their home. The landlord has decided to not renew their lease or whatever, and so they need some support in advance of potentially becoming homeless, which would be bad if you can imagine that. So if you can donate, please do so. But even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you for that ahead of time, and thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link. Adam Nixon, good evening. Who else is here? Kiro Soldier, good evening. Seftus Wolf, hello. Mike R, hello. Attack Alpaca, good evening. Corey Suzuki, hello. Otho May, good evening. Miranda Stone is here. Guys, you know about Miranda Stone, don't you? Well, let me tell you. Resolute Germ, good evening. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, hello. Who else is here? The Best Remy, hello. Payar de Bayar, good evening. Leanna Johnston, good evening. Jamie Milquist, hello. Keeverdam, thank you so much for the heartful, lovely, and loving Dog Cat Fox. Oh, Dog Cat Fox.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, it's a Sinatra Dog Cat Fox. Thank you, Keeverdam, very much for your generosity. Who else is here? SWD40, good evening. Frank Hubbard the Fourth, hello. And Kalekioki, pardon me. Mead Raid, what? Mead Raid, uh-oh. It's a Mead Raid. Oh my gosh. Midnight's Edge, After Dark. Is that you? Well, good evening, Midnight's Edge, After Dark. Boy, do I have a dog tale of a tale for you today. Yes, so I don't know about this one. This presentation asked the question, can dogs agree to participate in research? Now, I don't know if this question is literal, as in the speaker is going to attempt to answer that question, or if it's rhetorical in sort of a let's be kinder to animals in general kind of thing. Like, let's wean ourselves off of, no pun intended, but I'll take it, using animals in research. So, I don't know. It's going to be a mystery. Now, if she concludes that dogs can consent, this might turn into a off-brand Jerry Springer episode pretty quick. The Dead Man, good evening. Luke Skywalker 2, hello. Retardigrade, hello. Good evening. And Jonathan Conroy, good evening. Welcome from Mead. Anybody from Mead? Hello. Hopefully, as long as everything keeps in usual schedule, tomorrow morning I'll be on Midnight's Edge in the morning. And I'm sure we'll talk about the new Superman teaser, extended teaser as it was, and all sorts of other stuff with box office and elsewise. But, yeah. So we're going to find out, I guess, whether or not dogs can agree to participate in research, and by extension, consent to anything else? Toot Sweet, good evening. Tonight's bingo card is bingo card C, everybody. C as in Cujo. Cujo was the winner of the poll for the bingo card this evening. He won over Airbud and Benji. So everybody who voted for Cujo, you know who you are, and you should feel terrible about yourselves. Bingo Card C. Links to the bingo cards are in the description, everybody. And also, I'll make this reminder at the top and also at the end of the show. If you haven't already, leave a like. I like it when people like things, especially my things. Makes me feel good. Appreciate it. Found. Good evening. I'm late. No, you're not. You're right on time because we're about to start. This one clocks in at just over 12 minutes. I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
How can you ask your dog which is their favorite toy?
How can you ask your dog which is their favorite toy? What toy do they generally play with more than others? That might be the way I'd do it. Now, I don't own a dog. I've never owned a dog. In fact, I'm more of a cat person. However, I did come to appreciate dogs more when my coworker started bringing his dog to the office place years ago, back when we went to the office. And so I have a slightly better affinity for dogs now than I did before, but I'm still a cat person. But even if I were a cat person, I could tell what toy they liked the most by simple observation of what they played with the most. But anyway, let's see. Sounds fine, says Attack Alpaca. Let's see. And Jamie Elquist says, because Cujo the best. Yes, Cujo is the bestest boy. Yes, good Cujo. Cujo, please be a good boy, Cujo. I didn't hear it. I don't hear it, but my dog does, so all is good. Well, that's the important part. And Toot Sweet says, my dog doesn't consent to hearing it. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go against your dog's consent. It sounds so weird when you talk about these in these terms. Angelverse! Thank you for saving me from having to mumble into something else. Good evening. All right, so what's your dog's favorite toy, or how can you tell?
Which is their favorite?
Whoa, wait a sec. Sorry, let me back up. I didn't notice the subtitle to this lady. Maria Botero, barking back ethical considerations in studying dog cognition. Okay, so this isn't necessarily a literal question, it's more rhetorical. Also, one of the reasons why I was so excited to do this TEDx is our speaker is wearing a dog cat fox pin. So I can only assume that our speaker is a fan of TED Excellence. In fact, perhaps she's one of you right now, and she's sending me a secret message. She's sending me a message of support, or at least a message of support for Dog Cat Fox, which you appreciate, don't you? Yeah, I know you do. I can tell that you do. Hey, you know, you're not technically a dog. You're a genetic anomaly. I mean, you're here by your own free will, right, Dog Cat Fox? Wow. Yes. I know it's true. Okay. Why are you looking at me like that? What, you want to raise or something? Okay, I'll get you some milk bones. Okay, anyway.
Which is their favorite toy?
Which is their favorite toy?
Or who is their favorite family member?
What toy do they play with the most? Which family member do they tend to gravitate towards?
Because, let's be honest, you know they have favorites.
Sure.
These are questions that have intrigued me my entire life.
I hope there's more to your life than that.
And the answers I have found is what I would like to share with you today.
I'm all ears.
Let me tell you a story. When I was 5 years old...
Oh, this sounds like a childhood or family anecdote. Going over to the bingo card. Circling childhood or family anecdote. And because it's a free space, circling free space. So we already have 2 circles on the board, guys. Get your bingo cards ready. Thank you, Frosted Glass. Why is Dog Cat Fox blinking in Morse code? That's not Morse code. He just has sleep in his eyes. Your circadian rhythm up here on the moon is kind of wonky. So like when I start the show, he's just waking up, even though he should have been awake most of the day to, you know, watch out for Moonians running around and getting into the wiring and such. Frank Hubbard IV, thank you so much. 1 vote for Beethoven. This must be Schenk's favorite TEDx. You see, well, I wasn't quite sure whether to start going into that kind of territory explicitly, but thank you for doing me the favor, Frank. I appreciate it. Yeah, maybe I was debating between Benji and Beethoven for the dog names, but I thought Benji was more recognizable as a dog name. Maybe. I don't know if kids today even know who Benji was or is. Also, Morgan King, good evening. All right, well, anyway.
I used to spend summer vacations with my grandparents in their farm. They lived in this beautiful coffee farm in Colombia with the cutest Cocker Spaniel dog you have ever seen called.
I mean, I've seen a lot of Cocker Spaniel dogs before. Are you sure it's the cutest? I don't think it's the cutest. I think I saw the cutest in my neighborhood when I was a kid.
Kala. She had this very soft fur that you just had to pet. The only problem was that Kala was not a big fan of kids. My grandmother used to warn us, if you touch her, she'll bite you.
Okay. Some dogs are friendly, some dogs aren't. Just like people.
I was normally a very obedient kid and followed rules.
Like a dog?
The only problem was that I really wanted to pet Kala more than anything else.
Really?
So I had a plan. I was determined.
Oh, a plan? You had a plan of attack to pet a dog? All right.
I decided that my hands were very small and that the smallest part of my hand was my pinky finger.
You decided the smallest part of your hand was your pinky finger? Like you altered your molecular structure or something?
So I thought that if I approached Kala just with my pinky finger, she would not feel threatened.
But she would think it was a snack.
So one afternoon, I came in, kind of very cautious. I extended my pinky and I gave her a little pet, ready to run. But she allowed me to pet her. So I started every single day for 30 seconds to pet her in secret.
So you were doing like the, what was her name? Was it Diane Fossey? Is that who I'm thinking of? The lady who worked with like the gorillas in the mist and all that, who like camped out far away from the group of gorillas and like every day kind of inched forward until they became used to her presence, that kind of thing. I don't know why that suddenly came to my mind. Fostonia, holy cats! We're speaking about dogs, but holy cats, thank you, Fostonia, for the samurai trophy-hugging dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox.
Wowie fucking wow wow.
Well, there's a bemused Satsu 2 cents dog cat fox. Thank you, Fostonia, so much. You still watching agenda-free TV when it comes on? I bet you are. Got you hooked on that, didn't I?
And I added one finger at a time.
Okay, well, that was out of context. That could, anyway.
Until I was able to pet her with my entire hand. I barely contained my happiness, that is, until my grandmother caught me.
Uh-oh. And then Grandma threw a shoe at you.
So, since I'm 5 years old, I've been trying to answer the same questions. How
Really?
do we know what animals are thinking?
All you've got is behavior and I suppose body language, because just like people, animals generally give off signs of, irritation or comfort, happiness, sadness, fear, anger, so on and so forth. That's about it. You got like the horse whisperer and people like that. But outside of that, I don't know, unless you got some other method.
How can we discover what they fear? How can we discover what they're like? And once we find this, what is the right way to interact with them?
The right way to interact with them? I know this is all leading to questions, as the subtitle suggested, questions of ethicality when it comes to research or testing or who knows what else. Okay.
Answering these questions has been the aim of my academic research life, and I'm going to share you the answers I found.
You found the answers to interpreting what animals want? Okay.
So, since the 17th century, we have tried different approaches to understand animal minds. And probably one of the most well-known is the one by Descartes in the 17th century.
Deckard? Well, he was in Blade Runner. Holy cats! Speaking of a closely, not almost Deckard, it's Derek. Derek LaRue, thank you so much, Derek. It's very generous of you, as always. Appreciate your continued support and generosity. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you enjoy the show. Deckard, is that a philosopher? Is that like the original horse whisperer?
He thought that animals were just automata, mechanisms, that would not have an internal mental life, so they wouldn't have pain or suffering.
Okay, so Deckard was a sociopath.
He concluded this because he thought that animals are something that we all humans have.
A soul.
Language.
Oh. Language. Okay. I was getting much more existential.
Those who embrace this approach later, of course, use animals for experimentations without thinking about their pain and suffering because they were just mechanisms.
Right. Uh-huh. Okay.
Luckily, this is not the case anymore. Researchers instead are now focusing on finding the amazing cognitive and emotional lives that animals have for many different species: arachnids, insects, mammals, fish.
Wait. Arachnids? Okay. You know, I'm sorry. If something doesn't have what I can sort of anthropomorphize as a face, it's not really a thing. It's not really something that I care about its feelings. If it can't look at me with something resembling puppy dog eyes, if it's got 8 eyes or it's tiny and it's skittering around, yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe that's just the end of my personal animal morality.
Birds. And we have created committees around the world to make sure that we treat animals properly during experimentation.
Properly during experimentation. I guess this is where the rubber meets the road on the ethical questions, doesn't it?
I think this is geared in the right direction, but I think that we can do better.
We can always do better.
I believe that we can allow everybody to have a voice and be part of the research they're part in.
Okay, so it's not just a rhetorical notion. She's actually talking about trying to gain some sort of communication level with animals in the course of research. Okay, also, see the dog, cat, fox pin? I know you're out there. If you're in the audience, just, blink a couple times so I know that it's you. Also, it is Tim Burton's favorite friend, the lovely Sherry. Good evening. Let's see, anybody else I missed in the meantime, just in case? I don't think so. If I missed you, just say hello and I'll try to get to you later.
So, let me give you an example in my own work.
Okay, examples. I love examples.
I am a professor in the psychology and philosophy department.
A professor in the psychology and philosophy department, so the softest of sciences, sort of like the softer side of Sears.
I started my research investigating mother and infant chimpanzees at Gombe National Park.
Mm-hmm.
This day, my focus is more on dogs, more specifically on dog cognition.
Dog cognition. Dognition, if you will.
I have started the Smart Dog Cognition Lab to investigate the relationship between stress, personality, and how dogs perform cognitive tasks.
Mm-hmm.
To do this, I ask people to bring their dogs to their lab. And the first step that they have to engage in is filling a questionnaire to determine some of the traits of the personality in the dog.
According to the owner. Okay.
Now, meanwhile they do this, I like dogs to go around and sniff and make themselves comfortable in the space. As you can see, dogs make themselves very comfortable in the space.
She's showing something behind her on a screen. Maybe we'll see it in a second when she says very comfortable. Either they're napping or they're going poo or something.
And they also like to keep an eye on what their human is riding.
Okay, now we can see the dogs. They are little dogs, little puppies.
After we do this, we want to test the levels of stress of dogs by measuring their levels of cortisol in saliva. For this purpose, we ask their human to soak a cotton swab with their saliva so we can measure cortisol. And then we give the dogs two different types of puzzles that have inside dog treats.
Okay. And I apologize for the pausing, even though I could just sit and listen. But I do have to pause occasionally for the sake of YouTube. Okay, let me just think about this for a second. So, if I'm understanding her correctly, and I am attempting to use my own cognition here, she's going to be leading us to a point where she's set up some kind of series of tasks or some kind of regimen of preparation for a dog, specifically, in order that they can ostensibly give their agreement ahead of research testing? Is that what this is doing?
So you can see here's the second puzzle where they open and they discover the dog treats.
Okay, so yeah, they got for those of you listening at home, you got pictures of dogs with various sort of like kids' toys. They got a ball with a hole in it, and they got sort of like a memory placard thing on the floor. And if they hit the button with their nose, then maybe a treat comes out. That kind of thing.
The hypothesis behind this experiment
Yes.
is that dogs, as well as human and other human animals, can
Wait. Dogs, as well as humans and other human animals. Okay, I'm willing to chalk that up to some misspeak. What other human animals are there than humans? We're not going into multiple genders territory or something, are we?
human and other human animals can be very smart, but if their emotions are too overwhelmed, they may not be able to do a task that could otherwise be very simple for them to solve.
Yes. Because they're distracted. You know, even I sometimes find it hard to do a simple task if my mind is everywhere else or I'm in fear or something.
To understand this idea, think, for example, that time when you studied really hard for an exam and you knew all the answers, but the day of the test, you were so anxious that your mind went completely blank.
I never had that happen. You know, I mean, sometimes I got to the test or something and I would mix things up a little bit or not have studied the thing that I was being asked about. I never had that sort of like flop, sweat, stage fright kind of thing when it came to testing.
Right? So now, before we start running all of these tests, we ask humans to fill a consent form. So in the same way that you have to fill a consent form when you go to your doctor's office to authorize and give consent for treatment,
And also agree to arbitration rather than any kind of lawsuit should they screw up. And boy, I love those.
or when you consent for cookies to be installed in your computer when you go to certain websites, we provide a consent form to all participants that explains what we're going to do and what for them to provide consent of their dog to participate in research.
Okay. You're almost 6 minutes into a 12-minute deal. You've done all the setup. This better start paying off.
But when I started doing this, I started to realize, when I started to run these experiments, I started to realize that there was a contradiction in what I was doing.
A contradiction, you say? What was that?
Because I was saying on the one hand, hey, dogs have these amazing abilities. They can have stress, they have cognitive capacities, they have personality. But I was only asking the human to sign a consent form for them to participate. Meanwhile, the dog had no saying on it.
Okay, I'm steadying myself. Is she going to conclude that dogs can consent to research? Or that she knows whether they have or not?
This felt wrong. So what I decided to do was take this feeling and turn it into a challenge.
Ah, that's what I do with my feelings. I'm really lonely and depressed. I'm going to turn that into a challenge to maintain.
Now, of course, the challenge became, how can I ask dogs if they want to participate in research?
That is a very good question. How could you ask a dog whether they want to participate in research?
And let's state the obvious. You cannot just go ahead and say, hey, do you want to participate in research?
Thank goodness for that. I was hoping you weren't quite that far gone.
So you have to figure out a way. So to figure out this, I look into the field of pediatric research. Children often participate in biomedical research.
Yes, but and someone who knows more about how the brain works can probably correct me, but I'd say I would wager to say that a 4-year-old has a far more nuanced and active and capable brain than an elder dog. I'm going to guess.
And when they do this, many times, because of their age, they don't understand all the details of the experiment they will take part on.
Of course not, because they're a child.
So their parents We ask their parents to make decisions on their behalf because, of course, their parents will always have their best interest in mind.
It depends on the parent. And I'm only cynical, probably. I blame Misery Machine on that when it comes to assuming that parents have the best for their children in mind. It's Drewby and Yergi's fault. Blame them. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, my sister and I actually participated in research when we were young children. My sister was born with hypothyroidism, and I obviously, I was not. And so we were put into a study to find out if there were some learning disparities that could be drawn to someone with or without an active thyroid. And yeah, I remember like doing memory games with like beads and other little things that they do at this university. So we were test subjects, my sister and I. Mwah-ha-ha-ha. Then we became X-Men. Not really. But it was interesting. But yes, I didn't really understand anything about why we were doing it at the time. But our parents agreed to it, and it wasn't invasive or anything. So I know something about that from my own personal experience. Uh-huh.
Now, recently we have realized that children deserve to have a voice whether they want to participate in research or not.
Uh-huh.
So what we are doing now, we're focusing instead on allowing children to tell us what is important for them in ways that are appropriate to their age.
Nah, just use them as lab rats. That's what I'd say. Nothing happened to me.
So, as every parent knows, whenever you're trying to get your child to eat broccoli or you're taking them to the dentist, children are very good to use their words, their body language, their screams to tell us what they don't want and what stresses them.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're going to take any dog that barks or seems nervous and just decide they're not consenting and that's it? I mean, you can do that, I guess. I don't know how you then determine that some dog that goes along with you is consenting. Because do they have... I guess here's the thing. A dog... short of us interpreting, like, as a language, a dog's movements, barks, whines, whinnies, and so on, down to the science, you don't know what the dog is thinking. And the dog has no concept of what you're doing or why you're doing it or anything else. Because as much as we can't understand them, they can't understand us, save on an instinctual level. So, where are you? You got 4 minutes left, lady. Go ahead.
Researchers take these signs and they take it as sign as something that is called in bioethics dissent.
Something they call in bioethics dissent. You know, I think that word kind of carries across for everything, but okay.
Dissent is a term that captures that feeling of, I don't like this, I want out.
Mm-hmm.
When researchers find these type of dissent signs, they should stop the procedure or at least reevaluate the protocol that the child is involved.
Oh, we're talking about children? I thought we were talking about dogs. Sure.
In a similar way, dogs have the capacity to tell us what they want and what they don't want, and what stresses them out.
Yeah, but they don't have words to express it, and they can't conceptualize what's going on around them. You know, you could try to explain to a dog in simple terms what's going on to try to alleviate their fears. It's not going to work because it's a dog. It's not a child that conceivably and hopefully has language and the ability to understand something of the world around them. So what is the magic formula here?
So now the new challenge became, how do I give dogs the opportunity to provide dissent? That is, to refuse to participate in research.
As if they would have any idea of the concept of research in the first place. But okay, you've now got less than 4 minutes to go.
Just as I did years ago with Kala, I had to start thinking in terms of what makes a dog stress and what are the ways in which a dog is able to diminish stress and protect stress from themselves.
I don't know, and every dog is different. Some dogs are ridiculously friendly, some dogs are completely standoffish. Okay, I don't know. What's the answer? I'm dying here.
So I decided to design and test 3 different forms in which dogs can provide dissent.
3, that sounds like a list. I'm circling a list because so far, man, this has been a sparse bingo card today. Although I am going to also circle mind reading assumes motives. Because anything she says now and has said before about what dogs want, think, or otherwise. Yeah, all right.
The first one was a poorly installed gate in the lab.
A poorly installed gate.
As you can see,
Oh, there's video on the screen. For those of you listening at home, she's now playing a video clip. I will try to narrate after we've seen it, or after maybe she'll tell us.
the dog, if they're stressed from the experiment, they can just push lightly to the gate and be out.
Okay, so you've given them a way out. Or maybe they're not stressed, they just naturally like to explore and poke their noses on things and do so. Because you can tell the difference between curiosity and consent.
The second one is a form of a wooden box. Dogs can hide inside if they find the experiment too stressful.
You don't know that's why the dog is doing it. Okay, unless she's got something else she wants to tell us, this is entirely projection.
In this case, you can see that the dog has chose to completely withdraw from the experiment because it was too much for him.
If you say so.
And in the third one, we allow dogs to move away from the puzzle and go back with their human and stay with their human where they find this very comforting.
Well, and that indicates a denial of consent? Rather than just like a dog being familiar with its owner? Okay.
The hypothesis behind...
Wait, that's it? Wait. A loose gate, a dark space, and their owner's presence. Those are their 3 options to tell you that they don't consent to an experiment. That...
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Right?
Yeah, that makes so many assumptions. I suppose she couldn't do any better. I guess I'm not quite sure what I expected is the answer to be. How do I tell if a dog is consenting to research? I give them a dark little hidey hole to play in. Oh, well, that means you don't want to participate. Well, it could. Or it could be a dog just likes secret little hidey holes. Oh, boy. Well, this is a TEDx talk and not a TED talk. Not that that means a whole lot these days.
This experiment, as I mentioned before, is to sort of think about ways in which we can diminish stress.
You know, I think you were performing an experiment on yourself. You just weren't aware of it.
Now, it is very important to understand that this experiment is not particularly stressful, right?
Right? Sure. Is there one you want? Do you want to subject dogs to stress?
Dogs are opening little compartments and they're getting treats that smell like bacon, so they're very happy.
Are they, though? Do you know that they're happy? What if they hate bacon, but they know it's all they're going to get? Maybe they'd rather have salmon. But it's like, these stupid humans. But I must have sustenance. Maybe that's what they're thinking. How are you going to parse that one? With like a ring toss or something?
But even in non-harmful experiments like this, there's a little bit of stress involved. And as researchers, we must acknowledge that in every experiment there is some stress involved, and we should incorporate that in the design of our protocols.
Okay, you want to embed stress into the protocols of your experiments on dogs. Do tell.
I believe that this includes giving them the opportunity to dissent.
Okay, if you want to interpret what they're doing as dissent, not curiosity, not playfulness, not exploration, not simple, familiar patterns or people that they gravitate towards. You have decided that a little dark corner equals not non-consent or dissent. That a walking out of a gate equals dissent. That staying with their owner equals dissent. You've done that. It's not the dog telling you that.
So, after researching all of these, we discovered that actually dogs prefer a different type of dissent mechanism based on their personality trait.
You don't say.
But I think that the idea is more important and can be extended beyond dogs. It's not only applicable for dogs.
Oh, what else is it applicable to? Gila monsters?
The most important idea here is that we should provide a voice and allow people and animals to participate in this.
You're talking apples and oranges, lady. People versus animals. What am I? This is one of those presentations that makes me question the very nature of this series. Like, what am I doing? Am I learning anything here? Thank you, Frosted Glass. If she doesn't use the doggy door, that's consent. Yeah, right, If the dog picks the milk bone over the cat food, obviously that's dissent. Also, if you look at the pattern of tree bark, you can tell who assassinated JFK. If you stare really, really hard, you can tell these things. I swears. Oh, some more people are here. Datura Jones, hello. Ken Lee, hello. Cezanne a la Richard, hello. Lesser Logic, good evening. Anybody else I missed along the way? Did I say Simon Wilkins, hello, if I didn't already say hello. Yeah, this, boy oh boy, what time is it? Man, I might have to do a second one. This might have to be a double feature to make it feel like you're getting your money's worth here.
It goes beyond dogs.
Oh, does it? Yeah, tell us who.
What I want to think about is basically and provide you 3 final ideas to leave you with.
3? What? 2 lists? 2 lists in one presentation? So 3 examples of dog behavior that you've interpreted indicate dissent, and now 3 ideas to leave us with. I can't wait.
The first one is that as researchers, we should be open and curious about the different ways in which others tell us what matters to them or not.
You know what you should also be aware of as researchers? Confirmation bias.
Since the 17th century, we had made the mistake of dismissing animals' cognitive lives because they didn't have a spoken language like the one we use.
Right, and as you said, the idea that animals can't feel pain or don't have emotions and all that kind of stuff, that's gone by the wayside for quite a long time now, unless, of course, you're a sociopath. So we've already gotten that one out of the way. So one of your 3 list items, waste of time.
We have also made similar mistakes with human language. It was, for example, only until the 1960s that we recognized American Sign Language as a genuine language.
What's that got to do with dogs?
I think we should strive to try to understand and allow the different ways in which others can tell us what is important for them.
Okay, short of, very smart apes, I think of like Coco or whatever, that have learned sign language, or at least learned how to make signs that more or less translate over as language. And the idea that we think whales and dolphins and such have spoken language of a kind, even though we can't quite interpret it, if we can at all. What does this have to do with dogs? Is there a dog language you're seeking for some reason? Okay, sorry. What about cats? Can anybody interpret what a cat's thinking or saying or otherwise, other than just, I want food, or I want pets, or I want out the door to stare out the outside world and debate whether or not to actually cross the threshold? That's about all the speeds of cats that I know. Or getting the zoomies. Hey, have you deciphered why dogs and cats get the zoomies by any chance? I'd love to know the answer to that question. That should be a TEDx all by itself.
Second, as researchers, we should allow or make an effort to include everybody in research and allow them to have a voice in research they participating that affects them. And finally...
Okay. Well, you said that earlier. Was that really a... Okay. Thank you, Faustonia, again. What are the odds this chick is receiving federal grants for her research? High 90s%. You know, given what we found out from Doge looking into USAID and so many other places, I would be the least surprised if she was receiving federal money for this. Of course, if she is working for a university, and I don't know where she works, or if she mentioned per se, then more likely than not, at least in a fungible sense, she is benefiting from federal dollars. So I'd say the odds are probably 100%. Even if distributively it's only like pennies on the proverbial dollar, I bet you.
As participants of research, we must be willing to use our own voice to advocate for what is important for us.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I want to invite everybody here to take the challenge as I did and think what is the right way to conduct research.
The right
way of conducting research is an opening and evolving question that we can only answer if we make it part of our social conversation, a social conversation that will define the right way of conducting research into the 21st century. Thank you.
Yeah, she was run up against the clock on that one. Okay. I'm not even quite sure what to say. That was a whole lot of nothing. And that's saying something for a TEDx. I was hoping for something a bit more, I don't know, definitive or something. Like, I've spent the last 20 years studying the language of dogs, and I've whittled it down to like 7 different barks that, depending on the combination of these sounds, they're saying something. That would have gotten my interest more. But c'est la vie. All right, let's go to the bingo card. Such as it is. This might be a short one, guys. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. No. Word salad. I mean, kind of everything at the end and most of the talk was just babble, not really meaning a whole heck of a lot, not really pertaining to anything specifically. Marginalization. Well, obviously, if the dogs can't or haven't been given the opportunity to have part of the conversation, they've been marginalized up till now that we know that a hidey hole equals dissent. Patriarchy. No. Contradicts own point, fails to make argument by far. I mean, if the question was, can dogs consent to research, the answer has not been given. I'm assuming the answer is effectively no by any rational person. Feminism, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Did she give a name to any of this? I don't think so. Systemic or institutional? Not so as I noticed. Anecdote that probably never happened. She came with pictures and video, so I don't think she gave us an anecdote that... Well, except, you know what? The anecdote that never happened is that those dogs doing those things equaled language, effectively. That she could tell what their intentions or their wishes were by the shape or notion or nature of their activities. That doesn't make any sense. White supremacy, no. Leaves out vital context. I'm sure there's an argument in there somewhere, but I'm not sure what it would be. Weightless example or non sequitur? I mean, they're all kind of weightless examples, aren't they? I hate to double dip, but she didn't really give us much to work with here. Frank Hubbard IV, I think she's fluent in the tongue of Ew! Yuck! Ew! As Ernest P. Worrell might have said. Ew! Frank Hubbard taking us to some dark places. Sales pitch for product or service. I don't think she gave us one. Privilege, no. Collectivize his own demographic. Maybe dog lovers? I'm not quite sure. Self-vilification or wretchedness? I didn't catch any of that. Economic disparity, no. Benevolent condescension? I mean, maybe thinking that we're all dumb enough to fall for this. I don't know. Plays victim? I didn't really get that. Deceptive statistics. I don't think she gave us any. Microaggressions or unconscious bias. Okay, and again, my reflex, I gotta remind myself in this one too, we're not talking about the speaker's inherent unconscious bias, we're talking about microaggressions or unconscious bias being used as part of the presentation by the speaker, and I don't think she, well, no, wait, I take it back. She did repeat that, you know, dogs have emotions, we shouldn't think of them as automatons, etc. and so forth, and people did and have. So, I'll take that one on. All right, well, let me save here and refresh. And that is the card as I have it. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, and I'm sure you might have some, put them in the chat now, the chip. And if I've already missed your argument, just repost it, please, and I'll get to it as I'm able. Abacast Daily Privilege. Not all people are free to own dogs for pets. Some people have to eat them just to stay alive. I don't even know if that's rimshot worthy, but that's the best that I got. She plugged her book. Oh, did she? She did plug her book. Oh, okay. I must have missed that at the beginning. All right. Well, I will take your word for it if I got more than one person. I know you guys would not deceive me on such an important point. So, sales pitch for product or service. All right. Let's see. Walter Tomaszewski, you certainly did dog her on this one, Scribe. Oh. Scribe Light leaves out vital context. She never told us what brand of peanut butter she had. Yeah. Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. If you know why I'm bringing up Mr. Ed to that comment, then you know some trivia. Frank Hubbard, I have no arguments for new circles, but I don't trust that woman. I question the veracity of her conclusions. Let's put it that way. If she's a professional researcher, if she's been thinking about these things since she was 5 years old, about dog cognition. I mean, she had, 12 minutes on a stage all by herself, unimpaired, and this is the best that she came up with after all these years of research to indicate a dog's wishes in a particular circumstance. A open gate, a hidey hole, and having their owner nearby. If that's the best you can do, there's not much to be said, I don't think. But Zed Hero, it's a dog's life. It's true. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. I think that might be the end of the bingo card for this one. Now the question is, does this become a very short TED Excellence? Or do I try to make this a double feature? The first question is, do I have another TEDx that is short enough that it's not going to take up another hour or something, but, you know, lengthy enough to be worthwhile? Okay, I've got two. I've got two that might just fit the bill. I'm going to put a poll into the chat. All right, so you're going to have to tell me. I need to add an option. There we go. Okay, so the first one is here. I will keep it a surprise until I got it here. Okay, and then pardon me 1 second. All right, so here we go. Which talk to do? Or which TEDx to do, I should say. All right, and then can I start the poll? Must contain between 1 and 30. Oh, I have too many. Okay. What if I take that off? There we go. All right, here we go, guys. Here's the poll in the chat. Which TEDx, the hidden cost of cocoa or divorce as allies, not enemies? Put in your selections now. I'll give it a couple of minutes, and you tell me which one shall we do as a follow-up to the rather disappointing Dognition. And we'll use the same bingo card, just change the colors up a bit. Of course, the other question is that I don't have an answer to. What's the sound quality like on either of these? I don't know. So we might have that might be an adventure all by itself. If the sound quality is terrible, I can't boost it here live, unfortunately. So I guess we'll find that out. So pick your choice, pick your poison. The hidden cost of cocoa, or how to divorce as allies, not enemies. Each one of these runs just under 11 minutes, so we could probably get it done in the next half hour or so if we pace ourselves. You guys can decide. I leave it to you. Advocatus wants cocoa. Vote for cocoa. I mean, as a alternative to coffee, which I don't drink, I'd take cocoa. But there was extra title to the cocoa one. Pardon me. The hidden cost of cocoa. Can AI save it? I don't know. Can AI save Coco? Derek LaRue. Oh, thank you, Derek, again, for the happy, giant, smiley dog-cat fox. Oh, dog-cat fox.
Wow.
Oh, man, that always gets me. That was a tailed featured dog-cat fox. Oh, boy. All right, guys. So, Coco or divorce? You pick, you decide. Uh-oh. Coco's winning. Winning by a hair. I'll give it another 30 seconds. Another 30 seconds. Do we want to do Coco? We want to divorce as allies, not enemies. Also, with the hidden cost of Coco, can AI save it? That was a subtitle I did not see. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Coco seems to be in the winning. Uh-oh. All right, coming up. 15 seconds left. 15 seconds left. I think Coco might make it here, unless somebody decides to be a spoiler at the last second. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The poll is closed, and Coco is the winner. So let me prepare that. One moment, please. One moment, please. Where is it? There you are. Let me put you in a different window here so I don't screw everything up. All right, let me skip past the opening music thing before I get to here. Oh, wait, is this? All right, this is TEDx San Diego. All right. Okay, so let me switch out my screens here. Stop screen, present, share screen, the hidden cost of Coco. And there. All right, so here we go, guys. Your choice. You picked your poison, and it is Coco via AI. I'm going to start over with the bingo card using a different color to denote this talk versus the other one. Let's see if we get a bingo out of this one, whereas we didn't with the first. So let's hope that the sound quality is good enough for broadcast purposes. And here we go.
Next time, you unwrap a chocolate bar.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to turn off the music because I think this is awfully quiet, guys. I hope you guys can hear it. He says, next time you unwrap a chocolate bar. Okay, let me know if this is too quiet. I can't do anything about it, unfortunately.
Pause.
Pause.
And consider where it comes from.
Consider where the chocolate bar comes from. Usually the, exit counter at the grocery store.
And the tough decisions made by those who grow it.
Mm-hmm.
The hidden reality behind cocoa might just change the way you buy your chocolate.
I think I'll still buy it with money, but do tell.
When I was 12 or 13 years old...
Childhood or family anecdote. Circling childhood or family anecdote for this talk. All right.
I met Kwame, a family friend and a cocoa farmer in Ivory Coast. And Kwame told me one thing.
Only one thing?
One of those things that stops you in your tracks and makes you rethink everything that's happened to you in the past. He told me
that the entirety of many different TV shows exist in the mind of Tommy Westphal. I mean, that really floored me when I first heard it.
that he had a difficult decision to make.
Oh.
Whether to risk losing his cocoa harvest that he had worked for tirelessly over an entire year, or to take his children out of school to help him with the harvest.
Okay, I guess that would be a dilemma.
That would mean exposing them to tough conditions.
You mean a work ethic?
Carrying heavy loads.
Yeah.
Handling sharp tools. The type of work that the International Labor Organization defines as the worst form of child labor.
Okay, so he was having to decide whether or not to keep his kids in school or break international child labor laws. Boy, that's a tough one. I don't know.
But you know, Kwame isn't alone. He's together with 70% of the cocoa producers that live under the poverty line.
Okay. Are we going to come back to the story at some point to find out what his decision was?
A stark contrast with the chocolate industry that's generated over $130 billion this year alone.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you know, most people don't consider the realities of where their food comes from. Like when you go to the grocery store and there's a couple of slabs of pork there ready for you to buy and take home and barbecue or something. Gosh, where did that come from? It came from a pig. How did it come from the pig? Well, it was cut off a pig. Well, did the pig consent to this taking of their flanks? Well, they didn't go out the gate when I opened it for the pig, so I just assumed that yes. We had a hidey hole over in the corner and it just ignored it, so I was like, okay. It's kind of weird how these things kind of line up sometimes if you try hard enough.
Making all cocoa producers combined make less than 7% of the final price of the chocolate bar that you buy in your local supermarket.
Yes, because it has to be processed and refined and packaged and shipped, and there's a whole bunch of other steps after just simply harvesting the raw materials before it becomes a viable product. And
the hidden reality behind cocoa sustains a bitter price.
Oh, nice wordplay. And I'm not being sarcastic there.
But why is it like this?
Because capitalism.
To understand the problems in the cocoa supply chain, we have to go back to the colonial era when great powers like Britain, France, or Portugal introduced cocoa farming to West Africa.
Well, we don't have to go back that far because it's, according to you, still happening now. So I don't know. Where are we going with Are you just arguing for like reforms in cocoa? I mean, I guess that was part of the title. Can AI save it? How can AI save from generations and generations of cocoa farming economics?
Not to benefit local communities, but to fuel European industries. They introduced cocoa farming to Ivory Coast and the Gold Coast, modern-day Ghana, and the area became what we might now call the Cocoa Coast.
The Cocoa Coast? I mean, you might call that the Cocoa Coast. That might also be attempts to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, so circling that one. Also circling economic disparity on the board. Got that there. And conceivably, well, I guess the question is, he's supporting cocoa. Okay, so he would be making a sales pitch for a product or service effectively. Like we want more cocoa being bought because whatever they're making farming it is, they're only going to get it if you buy cocoa. So, all right, so I got those circled as well as free space. Boy, oh boy, we're just one square away from a bingo already. If we can justify marginalized or marginalization, which I think we might be able to do in the next couple of minutes, we'll already have a bingo.
Supplying over 65% of the world's cocoa. Yet, this prosperity came at a cost, built on the exploitation of land and labor patterns that persist to this day.
Oh my gosh, exploitation of labor. That sounds like marginalization to me. I'm willing to be a little lenient here, all things considered, because this is a short talk. And with that, square circled, if you can believe it.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Yeah, diagonal down from the O, we have our first bingo. All right. Well, that was much more efficient than the dog whisperer.
This story is deeply personal to me. No, the roots of this inequity define me. My father was over 1 year old when Guinea gained its independence, and my mother, a Spaniard, was 8 when Spain relinquished its last colony.
And?
They met in France, united by a shared dream to develop developing economies.
Developing economies. Your parents got together as economists. Okay.
My father worked in the International Red Cross, ICRC, for over 20 years, traveling from country to country, deep-rooted in poverty.
Sounds uplifting.
Rebuilding communities and agricultural supply chains.
Okay.
I grew up in Kenya, Senegal, and Sri Lanka during a time in which globalization felt full of promise.
Okay. Well, taking him at his word, good on your dad. That's a very selfless pursuit in the overall. And obviously you've had a international upbringing. What did your friend decide to do about his kids and the whole child labor thing? I really hope we come back to that.
Yet, despite their life tenure in foreign aid, I saw their dream and that of the international aid community fade.
Okay.
For every conflict aided, 2 more arose.
Yeah, that part of the world has a lot of that.
For every life saved, even more were lost. This reality ignited a passion in me.
Okay.
A drive to find systematic solutions. I saw the
Systematic? Oh, well, I'll take systemic or systematic, circling that one on the board. So wait, is the pitch going to be I can use AI not only to solve the cocoa farmers' crisis of lacking hands to do the labor, but also solve conflict and unrest in Africa?
in me. A drive to find systematic solutions. I saw the potential of rigorous mathematical modeling and data-driven approaches to solve the problems that goodwill and aid alone could not.
Okay, that is an ambitious goal. What have you discovered? But okay, that cut as that wasn't me. That was the program. Just to go back, just in case anybody's wondering, I did not make a cut there, a jump or anything. That was not your internet connection missing something. That was a cut. What did we miss?
Could not. This journey has taken me.
Or either that or he teleported. It's one of the two. Okay, this journey has taken you
From the classrooms of UC San Diego, where I studied mathematics and computer science, to the villages and cocoa farms of West Africa.
Okay.
And one moment that stands out was revisiting Kwame's farm.
Okay, we're going to get an answer to the question of what he did about his kids?
During our conversation, he shared how unpredictable cocoa prices left him in the dark, unable to plan for his family's future.
Yes, market trends can rise and fall on a dime, it's true.
When I asked him how he decides when to plant or when to sell, his response struck me. He told me, I trust my instincts and hope for the best.
Okay, well, admittedly, I've never been a farmer. I've never had to grow crops or anything else. I don't know if that is a standard practice for, most people. But, so are you going to use, I don't know, weather modeling and climate modeling and things like that to help guide him as to the best times of year to plant and harvest, and then combine in market force monitoring to tell when is the best time to sell versus not, and hoard and so on? Is that it?
I trust my instincts and hope for the best. How could someone like Kwame, whose hard work supports not only his family, but is a direct contributor to the entire global cocoa supply chain, be left guessing?
Because he doesn't have access to modern technology, or yeah, okay. You might have sold me on this one. I mean, he'd probably do even better if he just had like a farmer's almanac or something as well. But okay, so you're going to bring data models to poor farmers in Africa to assist them in doing better in their farming process. And I mean this sincerely. Sounds good.
It became clear to me that data traceability and ownership were not optional, but they were the foundation of meaningful systematic change.
Right. Well, we still have to go back to that story you started off with, where he was going to have to recruit his small children to take on dangerous labor. You going to revisit that one again? Because for all of the good that giving him more information on how to best harvest and grow his crops is, that whole child labor thing is still kind of bugging me.
Data empowers farmers like Kwame. Without it, farmers are left in the dark, unable to plant at the right time, unable to sell at the right time. But with the right data, they know what to do.
Yes. So you provided this to... Is there a success story coming? Is there like, oh, his yield was this before I provided him with the data and now it was this, something like that?
They improve their yields and their lives. Traceability connects Kwame's farm in West Africa to the chocolate in our shelves. And ownership ties it all together.
It did that even before you decided to introduce him to data-driven planting cycles and things. That's the only direction for his cocoa to go, was to those that were going to refine it into products. Traceability. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm not an economist. I'm obviously not a agricultural supply chain specialist or anything. But what does that have to do with the price of tea in China, to put a phrase on it?
When farmers own their data, they own their future.
Maybe. Is this going to turn into a success story, or is this all just hypothetical and anecdotal?
Ownership allows farmers to bypass intermediaries and to negotiate for better prices.
Okay. Again, apologies for the poverty of my intelligence on this, or my trivia. How does this improve? In what way? You give the farmer more information on how best to plant his crops, when to collect his crops, when to sell, and so on. Okay. How does that provide him more ownership in the negotiation process? Maybe there's a simple answer to that I'm just not seeing because I'm focused on just listening to what he has to say, but he has to explain these things. He can't just like drop it and then just say that it just does it. It's this abracadabra, there it is. How?
Through ownership, farmers like Kwame can also monetize their data.
What?
Maybe?
How?
Just maybe?
Maybe?
Kwame is able to take his children back to school.
What? Hold on. You can have all the best data in the world, but if you're going to improve yields through data, you're going to need more hands to harvest it anyway. I'm getting ready to circle leaves out vital context. I'm giving as much time as I can for him to explain what he's talking about, but I'm confuzzled how we get from point A to point B on this one.
And invest in his farms.
Maybe.
Ownership also has a ripple effect.
Ownership
when
on
farmers adopt technology, their kids grow up with digital tools, creating pathways to education and opportunities that were completely unimaginable before.
Is it going to somehow solve the dangerous physical labor aspect of farming for cocoa?
The integration of AI amplifies these efforts.
How? First off, you don't need AI for what you're talking about, right? Weather patterns and soil quality and other things, other kind of tests you can do that have nothing to do with AI would improve this guy's overall process, probably. But okay, AI, the grand solution to everything. How? Thank you, Frosted Glass. So ChatGPT could have ended slavery? Yes. Actually, that'd be an interesting question to ask ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, if you had existed in the time of slavery, how would you have solved it? How could AI have solved it? Okay.
Through AI,
yes,
we can transform data into actionable insights.
You want to trust AI with coming up with actionable insights? Have you seen the results of asking AI the same question 3 times? At least right now. Maybe someday it'll be better, but right now, it was last week or something. Somebody on Midnight's Eds had a question. We're trying to figure out what was the budget, the production budget, on Death of a Unicorn. And so I went over to Google and I looked up, it was the budget of Death of a Unicorn. And the little chat AI thing at the top of the screen, it came up with an answer. It said, it's something like $220 million. And I was like, what? Really? Wow. Okay. And so I relayed that to my fellow panelists. I said, well, I just looked it up and it's telling me that it was $220 million. And everybody on the panel was like, what? They spent that much on that movie? And I'm like, I don't know, special effects or something. And then I asked it again. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on some kind of other article or something that listed it. And so I tried rewording it slightly. I said production budget or, whatever. And then it came up with a different answer. It said $18 million. And I was like, $18 million? And I kept having to go back on the show and just couching all my answers by saying, okay, I don't know if this is accurate, but this thing's telling I got $220 million, I got $18 million. And the third time it said $70 million. I'm like, okay, I give up. I don't trust AI chatbot answers for anything. I just don't. They don't know anything. Except when to consent by hiding in a corner.
Being able to predict yield or diagnose diseases, all through accessible tools like...
Wait, diagnose... You're going to trust AI in its current state to diagnose diseases on cocoa plants? Good luck.
All through accessible tools like your mobile phone. Through AI, data becomes more than information.
Yeah, it becomes a giant gamble.
It becomes a tool for transformation.
A tool of transformation.
So standing on Kwame's farm that day, I realized that the future of cocoa depends on empowering farmers like him through AI tools.
Give him some soil quality testing kits or something. I'm sure, and I guess I'm happy to be corrected. I'm sure at this point in time, that there is plenty of science already done behind the optimal conditions to grow cocoa to its highest yield as best as you can, and everything else. I'm pretty sure that information already exists out there, and the tools necessary to be able to gauge whether the soil is correct, temperature, weather patterns, all that kind of stuff is probably already out there, and it doesn't require AI. I will bet the hair on Dogcat Fox's head that information existed long before AI became such a buzzword. I'll bet you.
Allowing farmers to have access to data, traceability, and ownership.
I still don't understand. How did they not already own their yield? Unless they're working a farm owned by somebody else, obviously. What do you mean by ownership? How does AI increase someone's ownership over their existing crops? What does that mean? And again, if I'm just being a complete dunderhead here, I am not an economic specialist, if you can imagine. So if there's something else happening here, or he's using this term in some other context I'm just not aware of, well, by all means inform me, but I'm just still bewildered what he means by this.
Today,
yes,
our research is already helping thousands of producers improve their yields and their livelihoods.
How? In what way? What is helping them?
Cocoa is becoming traceable like never before.
What does that have to do with anything?
With just your phone, you can take a photo of a chocolate bar and trace it all the way back to the producers who made it.
And that does what for me?
Possible.
So? I mean, if I just want to verify its authenticity or something, then I guess maybe, but then, so? Yes.
And this?
Uh-huh.
This is where you come in.
This is where I come in? Oh, I've been here for 9 minutes of your presentation.
As a consumer,
yes,
you can demand accountability from the companies you support. You can prioritize brands that meet ethical and sustainable standards.
Okay, well, tell me, what brands don't meet ethical standards? As far as cocoa is concerned, my main source of cocoa is Swiss Miss dark chocolate cocoa mix packets. And occasionally when I'm hanging out with Sister Scribe, we go to Starbucks and I'll get a cocoa there. Other than that, that is, when it comes to chocolate-based products, that is about as close as I... Oh, wait, no, there's these... I occasionally get these little, like, breakfast bar things that are sort of like a lot of like grains and fiber in them and stuff, and it's all protein based, but it's also cocoa. It's got cocoa in it. I forget what they're called, like Life Bars or something. I don't know. Just once in a blue moon, I'll get some of those if I see them. They're expensive though. But yeah, so what companies don't harvest cocoa ethically? Go ahead, tell me.
All together, we can transform the cocoa industry into one that works for everyone.
How? Who? What?
From the producers who grow it to the consumers who enjoy it. And cocoa?
Yes.
Cocoa is just the start.
Oh, it's just the beginning.
Coffee, cotton, agricultural commodities, and even metals and minerals are next.
Are next? Because no one knows how to really mine for metals. No one knows how to really grow cotton. AI will fix it.
The same principles of AI-driven transparency can revolutionize these industries.
You have to show us. You have to give us evidence of this. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it has to be more than just saying, oh, AI will fix this.
Helping producers, farmers, and miners alike. And hopefully we can create a more ethical supply chain that extends across the objects that touch every aspect of our lives.
Okay, the only ethical question you've brought up so far, unless I'm missing something, was your friend debating whether or not to put his children into a dangerous labor situation. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you. If they're not getting paid enough pennies on the dollar for their harvests, well, either they don't have supply and demand, or their negotiating skills. You know, you might do better. Aside from just the AI enhancement and the data-driven stuff for growing stuff, you might also, I don't know, try to encourage or set up a fund or an organization or something to send farmers to business school. That might be more useful in the long term. You know, knowledge is power, as they say.
Because if Kwame's story teaches us anything,
You haven't even... Okay, he is a farmer. He's a poor farmer in Africa who doesn't have the kind of information or technology that, say, a poor farmer in America has access to just at the drop of a hat. All right, increase his information availability to help with his growing and everything else. Great. Okay, fine. And then what? Did this happen? Did you do this? Did his, fortunes improve?
is that the sweetness of cocoa, the buzz of coffee, the softness of cotton,
Yes.
or even the value of minerals should no longer come at a bitter cost. It's time for all of us to share in the benefits and create a more ethical and sustainable future. Thank you.
Yeah, that is completely canned applause. Oh, that applause goes on for wait, how long? Oh, I didn't, yeah, sorry, I got the cutoff. Okay. There you go. That's round two. That's round two. Yeah. All right. Well, we had a two-parter. Let's go over this bingo card. I'm turning the music back on. I can turn the music back on now because it was wasn't quite sure about the interfering with his talk there. Okay, so going over the card one more time by myself. If you guys have arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them. I'll get to you momentarily. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He talked about equitable. Yes, he did talk about equitable supply chain, etc. and so forth, more equitable process. So circle on that one. So got that one. There, word salad. Not, well, a little bit, because he kept just saying, he just kept saying things without really a whole lot of explanation. That's more leaves out vital context. I'll wait on word salad. Mind reading or assumes motives. Not sure. A list? Did he give us a list? I honestly can't remember. Patriarchy? No. Contradicts own point or fails to make argument. Yeah, definitely. He didn't give any kind of evidence that AI... Okay, data-driven farming, sure. That's an easy sell. You're pushing in an open door in my book. But this whole thing had to do at its core with AI, and he didn't give any examples as to how AI would magically solve these problems. Feminism, no. Let's see if we did that one. Anecdote that probably never happened. I can't say he gave us an anecdote that never happened. He stuck on Kwame quite a bit. But we'll get to that momentarily. White supremacy, he talked about colonization in Africa and Europeans and so on, taking advantage and such. So we'll throw that one. Leaves out vital context, yes. How does AI work in this situation? What happened with him choosing or not choosing to put his kids into dangerous labor things? Would he have experienced any consequences for having done that? Weightless example or non sequitur. I don't mean to double dip, but there's not a lot to work with here, and it's absolutely true. Bringing up AI at all, there was nothing there to make it meaningful. Just saying the magic word doesn't mean anything. You have to give some examples as to how AI would have somehow solved it. Also, the ownership part. unless there is an interpretation of that in economics that I'm just unaware of, which, I will admit to. I didn't understand how his ownership of the cocoa would increase. Traceability. Increased traceability. I can take a picture on my phone of my chocolate bar and I know exactly where the cocoa came from. And that does what? More humanizes the process, maybe? But he didn't say that, so I don't know. Privilege. Not that I know of, but I'm open to arguments. Collectivize his own demographic. Well, he didn't say that he was a cocoa farmer, so I don't think so. Self-vilification or wretchedness? No. Benevolent condescension? Not sure. Plays victim? No. Deceptive statistics? Did he give us any statistics? I'm not sure. Microaggressions or unconscious bias? Not within the talk that I know of. My mind might be addled too, but that's why I have you guys here to back me up on some of these things or let me know what I miss. So if you have arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. Let me update the card here because I didn't update the card. There we go. No? What's going on here? Save card. Update card. There we go. That's what I meant to do. All right. So that's what the card looks like right now, guys. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, lay it on me. Advocates Diaboli. Deceptive statistics. Almost all farmers, regardless of what they grow, make pennies on the dollar at the end cost to the consumer of what they grow, just not just cocoa. That's true, but his main subject was cocoa. I don't think he said that was exclusive to cocoa. I think he was just using that as part of his argument that, cocoa farmers have it bad. So I don't think he was trying to deceive and saying that only happened to cocoa. Because later on he would talk about cotton, he would talk about minerals and so on. So I don't think he was limiting himself just to cocoa and saying that was unique. I'll take arguments elsewise. Suzanne a la Richard, USDA is probably a better source for part of what he was on about, a more focused on the source. As for the cocoa history, I can't remember a good source for that. Not the point anyway. This talk hurt my head. It was very, very surface level, very cursory. And yeah, it just didn't give us any information. Yeah, as you say, he didn't give us any form of data at all. Yeah, he didn't give us. We needed a success story. I asked for this in so many talks and presentations. If you're going to make an argument for something, that you've got some brand new solution or some crazy new idea that's going to improve things, you have to at least provide us a success story, even if it's only anecdotal, even if you can't say, we did a study of 5,000 people or something, and just say, we applied DEI to this business, and it was making only $300,000 a year. And after DEI was introduced, it started making $250,000 a year. But that $50,000 a year that they put into DEI was for the good of all people. Something like that. K. Roberts, he failed to provide stats to support his AI promotions. Yes. So leaves out vital context. Certainly, unless you're arguing for something else. Zed Hero, would white supremacy be hindered by colonialism? I got you covered, Zed. I already circled it on that basis, so we're good there. Let's see. All your cocoa belong to us now. Oh man, there was this. I think I've told this story before. Long ago, Starbucks had this special hot chocolate. It was called Signature Hot Chocolate. It was like a richer hot chocolate than usual. You had to go and ask for it special. You get a regular hot chocolate, you get Signature Hot Chocolate. It was so good. Oh, it was so good. And once they started offering it, I got it every day. Every day there was like a coffee break, cocoa run, whatever else, and I would be the gopher for my office and go down there and get people's, muffins and cocoa and chocolate and coffee and all that stuff. Anyway, and so the people down there, obviously, I always went down around the same time, same shift. The baristas got to recognize me very easily over time. And this went on for, I don't know, I think they offered it for at least a year or two or something. Anyway, one day, I walk into the Starbucks. I didn't have any other orders. It was just me by myself. And the barista behind the counter, a very nice, I remember he was bald, very nice bald guy. He saw me coming in, and suddenly his face became the most sad-looking thing you've ever seen. It looked as though he was about to deliver me news that my dog had died or something. And I could see it immediately. There's nobody else in the store that was in the line at the time, and I walked up, and he's looking at me with such sorrow in his face, and I was like, "What's up?" And he says, "They canceled Signature Hot Chocolates." And I was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, well, the batch that we have is the last that we've got." And I was like, "Can I buy all of it?" And so I got a Venti Signature Hot Chocolate. Usually I got a Grande, but I was like, no, I must have more. So I took my Venti Signature Hot Chocolate back to my desk in the office, and I sat down and I immediately typed out an email to Starbucks, and I said, "Dear Starbucks, please do not discontinue Signature Hot Chocolate. It is amazing and I love it. However, if you continue to proceed with this decision, send all of your remaining supply to, Starbucks number 1572 or whatever it was." I was so sad. I was so sad. Imagine how many cocoa farmers I've been supporting over the years. Just imagine. I've been a good consumer. Oh boy. Frosted Glass collectivizes his own demographic. Assuming he eats chocolate occasionally, he was very judgmental of cocoa consumers. Well, did he say that he enjoyed cocoa as well? Okay, making assumptions. I don't want to assumptions. Did he say that? Did he say I enjoy a good chocolate shake occasionally or something? He played it like it was unique to cocoa farmers and farmers in the region. I didn't get that. He was using cocoa farmers as a personal connection with his friend Kwame and as his main example to try to make his argument, but I don't think he was saying it was unique or exclusive. I didn't get that in the course of the talk. K. Roberts still waiting on Aya to pick and powder a chocolate truffle. Man, chocolate truffles. Simon Wilkins, the hot chocolate is protected at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, I know. I was like, man, just give me your whole tank. How much is it? I'll take it home with me. A bald barista, how unique. I mean, that's a significant part of the guy that I remember. I don't remember his name. I think it was like Andrew or something, or Andy. Anyway. Let's see. Let's describe like list. He listed other industries. Oh, that's right. He did. Yes, he did mention cotton and minerals, and I forget what the other one was. There was something else in there, but yes, he did make a list. That's true. Very good. I forgot about that. Yes. All right. So circle in that one. Any other arguments for squares to be circled, guys? Let's see. I call BS if he claims not to consume chocolate. Well, we can't ask him, unfortunately, and he didn't make it part of the presentation. We are bound by the contents of the presentation, and I don't recall him saying, I enjoy a good cup of cocoa like everyone else. If he'd said that, I'd be like, okay, he's a cocoa lover. Collectivize his own demographic, but I didn't hear that. So, yep, I think this brings us nearly to the close, guys. Uh-oh, K. Roberts, privilege. He was too good to wear his Nesquik rabbit. Let's see, Simon Wilkins. I had to reference the Laziest Man on Mars' other song. Okay. Susanna Ala Richard, imagine thinking you might learn something. Hey, now, wait a second. I have learned a lot by watching TEDx's. I have learned a lot. You know what I've learned the most of? The weakness of arguments. Okay, I've said it before. There is something to be learned from watching these talks and also talking about them after the fact. Because what are we looking at? We're looking at people on stages trying to convince you of something, right? Trying to convince you of something. And if nothing else, and there probably isn't, but if nothing else, I hope that over the years, those of you that have paid attention to this series have learned how to spot the weakness in an argument, the weakness in a sales pitch, even if it's not for specifically a product, then for an idea, right? We are going down the persuasive essay structure. We have the opening. We have the body with examples that are supposed to back up the opening and the hypothesis. And then we're supposed to conclude at the end by referring back to our examples that prove, with also giving some credence to any opposition there might be with not necessary, and opposing at the same time. These are the things we have to look for a persuasive essay, for a persuasive argument to at least work. Whether it convinces us or not, is a separate question, but is it a good argument? Is it a well-crafted one? Because that can, of course, lead you on to a decision made based on the information you've been given. So, if nothing else, hopefully, we've been able to decipher what makes a good argument, a convincing one, what elements are necessary to lead us from point A to point B to point C in conclusion and convincing, and if something's missing, does the whole thing fall apart? That's what I hope for. Kay Roberts, none of these presenters would pass a back staff officer class in Leavenworth, yet they represent the Ivy League world. It depends on the speaker. And yeah, and here's the thing. The one example that comes to mind most often for me is someone that says at the top of their presentation, I've been in name industry, area of study, whatever, for 20 years. And I've said this before. If you get somebody on a stage that's been doing something over and over again for 20 years, and they've got an idea they want to pitch you, and they can't get it across successfully in a 10 or 15 minute unhindered talk, they don't have an argument. I mean, I think I've used this example before. I'm not a salesman, or I don't work in sales, not since retail. And so in the job in the company that I work in, if I had to give a stranger an elevator pitch about what our product does, what advantages it offers, how we react to changes, and so on and so forth, I could do it because I've been with the company and I've been involved in enough stuff over the years that I can do it. I probably wouldn't have the same at-hand knowledge or statistics that one of our sales guys would, might not be as slick about it, but just on a sort of functional mechanics anecdotal basis of what we do, how we do it, and why we're better than the other companies that we're competing with, I could do it. You give me like 10 minutes on a TEDx stage, I'd do fine. But if you get somebody on a stage that says they've been doing something for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and by the end of their talk, they haven't convinced you of anything, they haven't brought up any good examples, any success stories or anything else, yeah, watch out for that. Watch out for people who comport themselves to be experts in something. Put them to the test. Okay? Sell me. That's what I've learned from TEDx and TED Talks. Used to be not so. TED Talks used to be pretty good, pretty informative. You actually had real experts on a stage talking about something they were passionate about and having a well-crafted argument or presentation about that thing. Few and far between these days. Simon Wilkins, how do you suggest I go about selling my photos to those who are too frail to go into certain places? Selling your photos. Well, I mean, I would just replicate the model of what other photo websites do. They put their watermarks on them and say, if you like this thing or a print of this thing, here you go. Put it on an app or a website or Instagram or something else where all the kids play and the old people like to look at their pictures and things. And yeah, it's like you could own this picture in your home, or you could have it for this, that, or license it or something else. Watermarks and paywalls. And that's coming from me, who has absolutely no idea how to market photographs. But I see what other people do, and that's my best guess. That's where I'd start. Okay, Advocatus, one more. Patriarchy, that guy took his kids out of school for it. Oh. Yeah, I don't, do I have a square that would, because that whole thing, I mean, he didn't really finish the story. Nah. Yeah, nah. I don't have endangering children on the bingo card, unfortunately. I don't think I want to. So, with that, everybody, there is your surprise double feature, TED Excellence. Two talks in one, neither of which was very convincing about their subjects, but hey, maybe it was entertaining at least to some extent. Let's see, what else we got on the deck here? Tomorrow, reminding at 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, noon 05 p.m. Eastern Time, I should be a panelist on Midnight's Edge in the morning. Even if I'm not, go watch Midnight's Edge in the morning with Andre and Tom and Chris Brawley and Paul Chatto and me and who knows who else. Could be other people. Could happen. Maybe Paulie will be there. Maybe Mikey will be there. Maybe somebody else that has an E at the end of their name will be there. Also, I have a Discord server. Do you have a Discord server? I have a Discord server. Link to the Discord server is in the chat right now. Click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you're not a bot, have actually watched the stream, and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is traceability. Just say hello, traceability, and I'll know that you watched this show. Outside of that, you will also, oh yeah, that's right, tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, will be another edition of DEI Death Watch, and I have a special item for tomorrow's show. An individual I have covered twice on this channel, a star of the DEI universe. Well, she's lost her job. Who is it? Who am I talking about? This twice covered individual on my channel. If you know who I'm talking about without me having to say much, at least by, reference or notion, well, you're a pro. If you want to find out about this lady before tomorrow, you could just look up on my channel, HP, and you might find out who I'm talking about. Because she apparently she's out of a job. But we'll cover that story tomorrow, amongst some others regarding DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion for DEI Death Watch, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And outside of that, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or the Give, Send, Go pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Really do appreciate it. On the way out, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like. I'd also appreciate it if you share my stuff out on the social media machines, whether that's Friendster or MySpace or ICQ, or I don't know, Angel Fire. If you've got an Angel Fire website, just post an ad up there for that, or that'd be cool too. Either way. But specifically, if you post it over on the Twitter machine, if you tag me in your tweet about my stuff, please do, because then I'll know, and I can thank you personally, because I do appreciate it when you guys do that, because you guys are the best algorithm. Also, if you don't want to know anything about the Adolescence series on Netflix, boy oh boy, I got a lot of people watching that little review I did yesterday. That's on my site. If you haven't seen that already, take a look at that and share that one out too. People seem to like that one. Anyway, everyone, hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Hope your Friday ahead of you is a good one, and weekend as well. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.